Yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 177 of Mini Truckin Magazine, September 2006. Definitely a lot to talk about here. Jason Woods, 98 S-10 extended cab. Of course, two models on the cover. One of the key things that you'll see here is an 8-page pull-out poster. This is the 17th Severtized truck on the cover. Mike Alexander's 14th credited cover. The models are Crissy, Moran, and Lindy, Compean. So what an awesome cover. Something else to note with this issue is you also have the feature and the insert photo, which is kind of rare, but it's super cool because it ties into the ladies in the back of the bed because, hey, there's a pull-out poster, which I think is super cool. This is also the biggest issue to date at 123 pages. That basically, 124 with the back cover, but that basically puts it at the second biggest cover ever because the next issue is going to be 131 pages, 132 if you will, and that'll be the biggest issue ever. But Mike actually speaks about that in this issue. So let's jump right in. If you like what we're doing here, leave a comment. We definitely appreciate it. Check us out via any podcast app, and the newer episodes are available here on YouTube in full video format. So we're going to get through the ads. Of course, the ads are what help push it to more pages. And for anyone that has worked in the magazine industry, you realize how important advertisers are. Super cool. You think about an 8-page pull-out poster, a full cover feature. But oh, by the way, don't forget the table of contents. Super cool. Always dug this truck. Now, you might be thinking, hey, is this the first cover with two models? Technically, no. There are other covers with two women, as well as two models on the cover. But definitely very cool. I think what they did with this one, what Mike and Jason Woods and team ended up doing with this one, MHT wheels, for those scoring at home. So you have a new era. Mike Alexander, love these bridge photos. He talks about it finally happened. I handed last month Mini Truckin is officially the biggest it's ever been. That's how he starts out there. You got 5 covers, one of the international covers as well, and the cover we just went through. Now, I always love hearing if some of you guys will chime in and say, hey, this is the first time I'm seeing this issue. You know, my subscription lapsed. I was at a different place. And, you know, I kind of moved on from reading the magazine at this point and whatnot. So, you know, leave your comments. I definitely appreciate seeing those. And it helps, believe it or not, the page grow. You've got Trevor's 89 Mazda B2200 from Washington. I always say this, the Pacific Northwest definitely holds it down with a lot of minis, but certainly Mazdas are kind of a staple up there. And then I could never really officially say this guy's name, but you see there the 76 Chevy Luv. Well, we'll see more of that in the future. So you got lovely, again, you can see color here and under construction. Definitely a key piece of our history in Mini Truckin. Here's Unfocused Relationship Challenged by Chad Lucas, Mike Alexander. And a super cool feature, something a little bit different. That front 3/4 shot, awesome blue color. And then you've got some of the background going on. But here you can kind of see where it was actually shot. And totally dig the larger photos in here. Check this out. This is old school autopilot. We had one of those on my wife's Charger. I had acquired a whole kit from an old friend. And it's kind of cool to see some of that other stuff from this era. But super cool, clean S-10. Brad E. F-10. Super clean engine bay. Awesome stuff. Definitely appreciate when you watch these videos all the way through. It helps the watch minutes, and it's much appreciated. I know some of you are on break and things like that, so shout out to all the hardworking peeps out there. I do these sometimes after work or on break, on lunch, that type of stuff, trying to get them done. The East Coast Bowling Nats bowling tournament. For many of you in the Northeast, I mean East Coast in general, but I think really Northeast to nail it down, you know what a big thing this was. And I would venture to say this is where the Florida bowling tournament kind of spawned out of, which I think is super cool. We've been to that now as a chapter, severed down here several times. I've been a good amount of times, and believe it or not, rest in peace, Ernie, talking about the Florida with Aftermath and some of the crews that kind of get together to throw that on. Ernie flew in for one, rest in peace to Ernie Macias, years ago. I was actually just looking at photos last night from that, so that's ironic. Kenwood shows us the future, and this stuff is cool. Also looking back at Auto Sound and Security and some of the other stereo publications, it's always cool to look back at, you know, where we've come, how far we've come, and this era, you know, with the fold out head units, you know, was so big, and, you know, we kind of thought it was the future, but, you know, now you look at things and kind of go, everybody's got screens and things like that now that don't even have to fold out. It's insane. Blazin' Load with our 6-pack of Thunder. Again, a different kind of feature. I like these different layouts. You know, it might not be a traditional layout for a magazine, but you see the bridge in the back. No parking on the wharf. 4-door Blazer getting some love. Full stereo. A lot going on. JL audio. People often say some of the best stuff out there, depending on your preference. And then S-Done, not your average dime, a dozen roller. So love this feature. I think it's super awesome. You got Two Hot Chicks. Jason Stereo bangs harder than Chuck Norris in the first round. Dale Thomas of Glendora, California. Just a great truck. You know, this era with, as I always talked about, you know, this one may not have a full painted dash, but, you know, the bezel pieces and the console, super clean indoor photo shoot. Now we'll see this truck again in show coverage in this issue, which, you know, always makes me think that they kind of link up there and go, wow, it's finished, you know, let's book you next week or in a week or 2 weeks down the road for a feature, you know, indoor photo shoot. So you can see, again, a lot of work going on. I was a big fan. You know, it seems like for a long time there was stereo setups like this where you have a full-blown show vehicle and then you had a lot of stereo in the bed. This one, the thing that might have you scratching your head is if you look here, you go, wow, you would put all that stereo in the truck without a bed cover, but actually it does have a bed cover if you look at it. So they would have removed that for the ladies to sit in there, and you can kind of see the mount right there. But, you know, you still see it sometimes, but I don't think as much with the full stereo in the bed with components and whatnot. Now, I did not go digging in my extra collection to see. I probably have an issue of this where the pull-out poster is removed, but this one is not, so I wasn't going to remove it. This is my personal issue from the mailbox back then. You can kind of get an idea, obviously, so far with the feature. And what I will do is I will take the extra mile. And you can see there the lovely ladies right there on part of the poster. And you can kind of see here, you get an idea. Obviously printed on both sides, so you would have had that bed shot here with the Mini Truckin logo that's kind of themed after, and then you would have had kind of the ladies there sitting in it. But super cool. And as you can imagine, being that it's the biggest issue, you know, people kind of, you feel like, hey, I'm getting more value, I'm getting a good issue, lots to read, lots to look at, free pull-out poster. You know, those are some of the things in my opinion, that the magazine industry, definitely in that era, was doing to try to continue strong sales, right? Especially with the new team and, you know, with Mike being on board and driving some of the change, you know, you want to keep those sales in a good point. This is Ronnie Omburn. It's kind of hard to see. Let's take a look. Let's take a closer look here. It's a little dark in here. I need to get new lights. Amburn. One of my lights, I think, burned out. So FreeRangin, not a sport, a lifestyle, which we totally agree here. And then this is up in North Carolina, super clean Ranger. And in this era, one of the things that they did was bake in photos of the owners, which I thought was a key. We kind of continue to see that here and there through different publications. You can see the chrome tanks there in the bed, entire bed floor raised. Something you'd sometimes see, you know, a head unit just kind of slid in. And it's ironic, talking about technology, you know, we basically don't even need head units anymore. I mean, granted, if you're an audiophile and, you know, you're playing CDs for wave format and whatnot, sure. But I'm sure many people just either are using Bluetooth, which sounds sufficient for most, or like in my Lincoln, I have a little JL deal that plugs directly into the amp. And you don't even need a head unit. It's just crazy how far things have come. Thunder from Down Under. Subs and amps to die for. Very cool to look back. You know, in this era, you had different... Audioban, I think, was a big one. You had different manufacturers kind of doing things like making this stuff show quality. Some of these guys would reverse mount these, and, you know, the different designs on the branding for the actual speaker. It's definitely pretty cool to kind of look back. Then you, of course, got the JL, which was always kind of a super classy. These things, you can kind of see not just digital audio, but Rockford as well, with the magnets and just, you know, all the different stuff that goes into those components. And then something that's huge now, you know, not necessarily this, but, you know, these preformed boxes, you know, there's different people that make them and companies, and you go on eBay for the newer trucks and throw a sub. My buddy Paul Lane built a sub box for my 09 Silverado years ago, and I still love that thing, man. It still sounds great. This, I believe, was the Corvers, wasn't it? Diz, Ava, Diz, or Kiz, or Viz, or? I believe. Say that in Carney 10 times fast. Love this dime. Crew cabs on the rise. Crew cab minis on the rise. Our buddy Scotty the Body's building a crew cab mini. Long bed. But definitely you don't see a lot of those. This is Spring Fling. Super clean S10 here. This always stood out to me because they put a big photo of Rico. So shout out to Rico. I know he's a big supporter of what we're doing, and certainly appreciate the big homie always looking out. But his truck was always just such a cool truck because of, I think, the color, number one, I liked. You got the louvers, you have the hood cowl, the tanks, you know, and then he also was on, I think it was the Aftermath 20th anniversary, or their anniversary apparel merch shirt, which was super cool. You got the rag top, you got the two foes in the back, which Alexander jokingly mentions there. He had figured out that a 24-inch tire is the exact same size as a 22. Obviously, that was in the era when everybody was kind of really pushing the limits with 22s, 24s. And then Mike Lewis, shout out to Torgerson. I know, Matt, appreciate you always watching and emojiing. Is that a word? But, of course, after Matt had traded / sold the Astro to Mike, Mike ended up basically painting the two-tone, and, you know, the wheels end up changing and whatnot. But basically, that's where we end up. You can see the severed logo, which I think that was the one that Matt always had on there. Always loved that logo on the front. Mike had it, and then I forget if Mike owned it or if he had sold or traded it by the time that it fell off a trailer, unfortunately. Hate to even say that. This thing has popped up here and there. Of course, Matt, if you looked at the amount of work that Matt put into that van, it just was insane. And every once in a blue moon, I'll post it and somebody will say, yeah, somebody's got it and they're rebuilding it. And, you know, we often hear that. Of course, that stuff is not, you know, doesn't happen overnight. But it's cool to know that, you know, people are trying to revive some of these trucks. So you have the 11th annual Magnetic Mini Bash. This, I can immediately look and kind of go northeast. Remember when this thing was up there, you've got this truck, which Billy Blanco shot for that Rare Trucks magazine that Courtney and Brian and Steve were at after Street Trucks. I think it's super cool. If you haven't seen it or you haven't seen our social media posts on it, S-10, extended cab, square, dime, of course, and then you've got the full-size OBS front bumper on it. Just realized this is Kent Ladner's. I wonder if this must have been after Kent sold it. I don't remember seeing that. I don't know why, but that looks like Kent's, which was on the cover of Street Trucks. And then you've got this famous truck, which I always thought was super cool, the bed and everything on it. A lot of work into it. But Kent Ladner, good dude. Usually see him at Lone Star or LST and slap hands with them when he's there. Definitely good dude. Warranty voided. So you got Brandon Burrell. Brandon's got a podcast. If you haven't checked it out, find him on YouTube. Good dude, and he's got some pretty cool guests. And since he started out with video, some of our old guests that weren't in video, he's had on, and he's had great conversations with them. Kenny Hester, 2000 Frontier. There you see the photo kind of holding a mini Truckin license plate, which I think would be cool. I know a lot of magazines don't really have the budget, I'm sure, these days, but you know, to me, to be able to have someone make a bunch of these, and if you got featured and, you know, or if you just took it and had them hold it up, you know, like which they may have done there, but it would be super cool if they had the budget just to go, here you go. That's your keepsake. Here you got Chad Lucas, Asphalt Junkie, talking about, you know, the full size sold, which he hinted at in the last issue. Shout out to the big homie. Truckin and Havasu Spring Break. So you've got this famous truck. There's the cover truck that we just saw. This Taco, which I really dig the front end, dig the graphics. You got Eddie right here. Got a rear 3/4 shot. Love these trucks, these dimes with the third door. And then check out all the coverage here. A lot going on in this issue because it has so many pages. And then you got Riding Around. Paper cuts. This was pretty cool, kind of showing some of the, I always loved, even if this is pretty basic, I loved when they would kind of throw these together a little bit and show some of those issues. And then this is kind of funny here, Dear Mini Truckin. I want the models of all of them to be my girlfriends. They're hot and gorgeous. There you go. That's a good issue to tie it into with the cover. And then you got Grant Custom still doing the dang thing. Some of the work shirts. There's that photo I keep talking about. Still there. It's kind of harder to see now because it's like a background image. And then MT Graffiti. This gets us to the end. That looks like Low Life Mikey and Body Drop. Low Life Mikey. Shout out to the big homie. This thing, I remember seeing this chassis. Super clean. Got a Toyota with some crazy flames. And again, advertisers are going to help bring us to where we have more pages. So you got Ron Perkins, a regular cab, of course. I mentioned recently the back window, and this one is repaired. But basically, you have issue 177. September 2006, Jason Woods' 98 S-10 extended cab. Again, 2 hot models. Stay on the rise, everyone. The next issue, Toyota extended cab with the bridge in the cover. I say extended cab. That's what Mike calls them. I call them extra cabs. Stay on the rise, everyone. Appreciate the support. We are here. Peace.